Human kingdom has seen many such hunting attacks. Cholera, bubonic plague, smallpox, and influenza are few of the most brutal killers in human history. Outbreaks of these deadly pandemics has killed many people across international borders. Existence of smallpox has been 12,000 years throughout history, and it alone killed between 300 to 500 million people. Time has only been the witness of the devilish dance of these deadly viruses. Their widespread hunting and killing list is huge. Let's take a brief look into the accounts of their deadly hunting dances in the past.
Antonine Plague, 165 AD. This ancient pandemic killed almost 5 million people, also known as Plague of Gaden. The true cause is unknown, but is thought to have been either smallpox or measles. Affected regions are Asia Minor, Egypt, Greece, and Italy. It was unknowingly spread by the returning Roman soldiers from Mesopotamia in 165 AD. Plague of Justinian, 541 to 542. It killed 25 million people, perhaps half of the population of the then Europe. It was a bubonic plague. Bubonic plague affects lymph nodes. It affected Byzantine Empire and Mediterranean port cities and devastated the city of Constantinople. The killing rate estimated 5,000 people per day at its peak. The Black Death, 1346 to 1353. This was also a bubonic plague, and killed 75 to 200 million people. It ravaged Europe, Africa, and Asia, from 1346 to 1353. It is thought to have originated in Asia. It most likely jumped continents, via the fleas living on the rats, that so frequently lived aboard merchant ships. Ports were the perfect breeding ground for the rats and fleas those days, and thus, the insidious bacterium flourished, devastating 3 continents in its wake. Third cholera pandemic, 1852 to 1860. This cholera killed 1 million people. It is considered the most deadly of the 7 cholera pandemics. The third major outbreak of cholera in the 19th century lasted from 1852 to 1860. Like the first and second pandemics, the third cholera pandemic originated in India, spreading from the Ganges River Delta through Asia, Europe, North America, and Africa. Flu pandemic, 1889 to 1890. This influenza was the first true epidemic in the era of bacteriology, and killed 1 million. It was originally called the Asiatic flu or Russian flu. The outbreak of the influenza was thought to be a virus subtype H2N2. But recent discoveries have found that H3N8 virus subtype was the cause. The first cases were observed in May 1889 in 3 separate and distant locations of Bukhara in Central Asia, Turkestan, Athabasca in northwestern Canada, and Greenland, and spread across the globe.
Sixth cholera pandemic, 1910 to 1911. The sixth cholera pandemic, like its 5 previous incarnations, originated in India, and killed more than 800,000 people. It spread to the Middle East, North Africa, Eastern Europe, and Russia. Cholera cases had been cut down by 1923, although it was still a constant in India.
1918, flu pandemic. The deadly outbreak of influenza tore across the globe between 1918 and 1920. It infected over a third of the world's population and ended the lives of 20 to 50 million people. The mortality rate was estimated at 10% to 20%, with up to 25 million deaths in the first 25 weeks alone. Strangely, it had begun striking down hardy and completely healthy young adults also. Asian flu. (1956 to 1958), Asian flu was a pandemic outbreak of influenza of the H2N2 subtype. Death toll was 2,069,800 of those in the US alone. It originated in the Guizhou province in China in 1956 and lasted until 1958. It traveled to Singapore, Hong Kong, and the United States. 1968 flu pandemic. It is referred to as the Hong Kong flu, a Category 2 flu pandemic. It was caused by the H3N2 strain of the influenza virus, a genetic offshoot of the H2N2 subtype. Death toll was 1 million. It was first reported on July 13, 1968, in Hong Kong and spread to Singapore and Vietnam in only 17 days. Within 3 months, it spread to the Philippines, India, Australia, Europe, and the United States.
HIV/AIDS pandemic. HIV/AIDS has truly proven itself as a global pandemic, killing more than 36 million people since 1981. It was first identified in Democratic Republic of the Congo in 1976. Currently there are between 31 and 35 million people living with HIV. The vast majority are in sub-Saharan Africa, where 5% of the population is infected, roughly 21 million people. It was, at its peak, from 2005 to 2012, and the deaths dropped from 2.2 million to 1.6 million. HIV has far more become manageable, and many of those infected go on to lead productive lives nowadays.
COVID-19, the novel coronavirus, a new, novel, coronavirus, began appearing in human beings in December 2019 in the region of Wuhan, China. That's why it has been named COVID-19, a shortened form of coronavirus disease of 2019. While it was initially seen to be an epidemic in China, the virus spread worldwide within months. The WHO declared COVID-19 a pandemic in March.
As of June 22, 2020, more than 8.86 million people were infected worldwide, in around 210 countries, and caused nearly 470,000 deaths.
This new virus spreads incredibly quickly between people, due to its newness. Careful hand washing and social distancing are the best practices for this disease. Countries across the world declared mandatory lockdown, stay-at-home measures, closing schools, businesses, and public places. Dozens of companies and many more independent researchers began working on tests, treatments, and vaccines. Now the survival of the human race has become the primary concern in the world.
Thank you for watching. MAMLabs is a non-profit educational organization. We publish blogs and vlogs useful for all, across the board. So, please encourage our efforts with your likes, comments, and shares. And don't forget to subscribe our channel. Thank you.